Hi, Mr. Dan. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. My name is Olatunji Taylor. I'm the founder of Aricares Alliance. It's a 501c nonprofit organization here in San Diego, California. Um, the purpose of this organization is to educate, guide, and advocate for families, caregivers, and home care agencies in the United States to ensure safe and compassionate and regulatory compliant home care. And of course, to support caregivers through training, resources, and support services, and to work towards systemic improvement so that every caregiver is supported and every senior receives quality care. And that is basically what Aricare's alliance is about. So, Mr. Dan, would you please introduce yourself, sir?
Sure. My name's Dan Williams. I'm one of the founders and owners of Elite Home Care here in San Diego. And one of the things that we've seen is just following from our family. I mean, my parents are much older, and there was a time when my family said, "Hey, listen, we'll take care of them in our home." And after 2 weeks, we were pretty exhausted, so we needed some help. And that's when we had our first caregivers speak with my family, and that's the where the value of that it comes from. And
Mm.
TJ, when we met, he came in as a care person and um, the most educated within it, within the industry, and assured just a heart and a joy to be part of it to help families. And that's why it's an honor to be here on your panel.
Right. Thanks, Mr. Dan. We want to quickly, dive into the topic of today, which is understanding quality home care and what families should expect. So, emphasis on quality, but we'll get there very soon. Now I know that the aging of population really represents one of the most significant and complex challenges facing healthcare system, not just in the United States, it's across the world. From previous research, even in the United States alone, this demographic shift is particularly profound because, you know, when I looked at the numbers of, individuals aged 65 and older, um, it's nearly, I mean, it's 65. I'm trying to say that people at age 65 and older are nearly going to be doubled by 2060. So, and by this time, the elderly population would reach approximately 95 million, a substantial increase from, from from 2020. So and that's one of the reasons, I mean, why Eric Cares Alliance, was, I mean, started in the first place because I feel that most families don't they often don't know what to expect and from from home care because many people don't know that they want care maybe for themselves or their family members or when their loved ones. So I've heard people say, well, maybe I could just look for some random guys to help care for my parents. Then they have their concerns about they want to know the background of who is coming in to take care of their loved ones. Then they think about going into maybe getting the services from home care, but then they don't know what to expect from home cares or what quality care really looks like. So today, we really want to talk, we want to walk you through what to look for, what questions to ask, how to ensure your loved one receives safe and compassionate and compliant care. And that is why we have Mr. Dan on board is an expert and on this subject he has a first-hand experience with his parents based on what we've talked about, Mr. Dan, sometimes. So I would like you to talk about home care. What if you, when we mention home care, what exactly is it all about, Mr. Dan?
Well, home care is really that's decided within a family because as you look at homes, my parents didn't want to leave their home unless they were boots in the ground. I mean, they were going to die in their house because that was the American dream when they came back to have a three-bedroom house with a picket fence, and that's just what people all wanted. So once they got there, they didn't want to leave. So when that kind of hit our family. And then my brother said, "Hey, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it." And what happens, my mom at night needed to go to the bathroom.
mm,
But as he followed her, it would take her 5, 10 minutes to get to the bathroom. Then it'd take 5, 10 minutes to go to the bathroom, and then 5 to 10 minutes back to the bed. And so that happened 2 or 3 times a night. And after 3 weeks, my brother said, "Hey, I can't. I can't go to work anymore because I'm exhausted. It's not hard work, but it needs to be done." So that's when we realized, gosh, we need care not just there, but through respite. And respite meaning giving a rest to the caregivers, especially the family members. And so that's what we're finding. I mean, this baby boom has never been seen before. And most things happen in California and throughout the United States as families move. Their parents may be back at the old hometown, but they're in different towns. So how do you take care of them when you're far away?
mm.
And that's what having caregivers can really assist.
Oh yeah, I see. Um, and I agree with you. I know that some many years ago, I think about 10 years ago, I found myself in the position where I had to take care of I would say my aunt's mom. I
Mhm.
don't know how to put it, but it was really challenging for me as a new, I would say then I would call myself a self-taught caregiver. It was a major challenge. I was mentally drained. It was really difficult for me to go through that. I had to take care of the woman. I had to also, go to work. Then I used to teach. I was an instructor, and then return home to cook and to support the family. It was a major challenge, and if we knew about respite care then, maybe we would have asked for that help. But back then, we didn't know a lot. We just thought, well,
Mhm.
maybe we should just, since I wasn't doing too much for myself, so I was trapped in that, and I was really affected. But the good thing was that I had some family members who called me sometimes to help. But I was really, really, into taking care of my
Mhm.
yeah. So but later in the later years, I discovered what I mean home care based on your definition. I Then I kind of appreciated the kind of services that home care agencies render. But then, Mr. Dan, I noticed that some organizations would say, well, they render home care services, and some would say they're into home health services. Um, would you tell us what is it? Is it just by the name? I mean, I want you to tell us what the differences are. Is it just in the name, or there's a significant difference between home care and home health care?
Yes, there's significant differences. The home care, which is what we are, a home care agency, is non-medical. So we're just there to assist, and we don't do any prognosis. We don't do anything that's outside of what a family member would do. Your healthcare agencies are traditionally nurses that'll come, they'll come, once for an hour or two and give medications or do specific wound care, that type of thing. So the difference is one is just roughly a family member. We do laundry, we do cooking, we do cleaning on a light scale. But the healthcare doesn't necessarily do that. They'll be more direct as far as a medication, following doctor's orders depending on what is needed.
Oh, so basically, the major difference between home care and home health care is that home care is non-medical. Now, home health
Correct.
care is so they offer skilled medical care.
Right.
Then I'll also add that so home care support daily living. So they offer um, they help they assist in activities of daily living, basically dressing, grooming and stuff like that. And they also offer. So when you say they offer one-on-one services, it means that they stay with the clients. So they don't just walk in like like the nurses from home health care, they support the client and they stay with them for a longer period than the nurses that come in for a couple of hours, sometimes an hour. Okay. Now I understand. Oh, now I see because um I remember that I once walked with a client and I noticed that some nurses will come in, they spend like 30 minutes, they're about some are called the CHHAs, that home health aides, they will come and do the shower. The nurses will come and take the vital signs and then check some other signs, skin check and everything. But for me as a caregiver then, I noticed that I was only restricted to um the activities of daily living or
Hmm.
yes, and basically I don't even touch the medications. What I do is just to remind the client, oh now I see, oh now I understand. So okay. So let's backtrack a little bit. So let's move away from home health. So let's focus on the topic of today. So if we want to talk, if we're talking about home care, what makes a home care service a quality one? Because why am I asking these questions? There's some things in life. I would say so there's some services that you may, should I say there's some things you want to get involved with, and some people say, well, why don't you try first? And if you don't like it, then you can back off. But I think as far as home care services is concerned, you don't wanna try first, then back off because I feel it's human is involved, real life is involved. So I feel that you should know that this home care service, or these home care agencies, or this home care agency is going to offer you something quality before we commit to your services. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I like to know, or I want you to tell people uh, what they should expect as far as quality is concerned, so that when they decide to go with an agency, they have already seen the quality in their services before they commit to their services.
Well, as a licensed agency, we're required to do at least 5 hours of training before anybody goes into the field. We also do background checks. So those are very valuable for families because otherwise you have an agency that picks somebody up and they may have no experience or they may have had trouble in the past. Those type of things are vetted out. So we do the first filtration, and it's not just a quick filtration. It's quite extensive, really. When they come in, they about 5 hours of a lot of training, and then we also can teach them a little bit about the industry, about how do you transition someone from how do you get them out of bed and over to the toilet in time, or how do you move into a shower, those type of things. So it's really most of them are pretty much based upon the assessment. When we sit down, we'll spend hours sometimes going over what their family member needs so that we can provide the best care. Otherwise, you have somebody that can say, "Oh yeah, I took care of my family. What did you do?" "Well, I fed the dog and I did the backyard." No, no, no. What are you doing specifically for the client, the person that needs care?
Oh, I see. So, yeah. So, in addition to that, we will say that what defines, uh, well, based on what you said, I think from my perspective, I'm trying to define quality in three different perspectives. So, number one is uh, client-centered care. So agencies must be able to offer client-centered care. So
Hmm.
in the aspect of respecting the client, respecting the dignity of the client, and of course, taking care of the client with compassion. So caregivers have to be compassionate. And of course, we are talking about, so based on your explanation as well, we expect the caregivers from a particular agency must be competent. It means that they have to be trained, they have to be properly screened. Like in California, caregivers have to go through the background check. They should have their HCA number license, that is a home care aids and licenses. And they should be supported. They should have strong support from the home office, right? And also, based on what you said as well, it means that like home care agencies should be licensed. They should have approval, by the, from the state before, they can render all the services. Oh, all right. Now I understand. So, um, but now I would like us to go a little bit more into what families should expect. So, home care agency like Elite Home Care, yeah. So, and I know that you offer quality home care. Right. We know that. And for other clients that are already engaged in your services, they know that you offer home care. But generally speaking, I want us to quickly talk about what should families expect from home care providers. What what kind of questions should they ask if a home care agency, talks to them about, the offers they render? What kind of questions should they? Because I'm asking this question because sometimes ago, I was a family called, me, and they wanted me to just support if, to help, their dad for a certain period, as a private caregiver. But then the wife was concerned about, you know, how we are very new to this. We know that my husband needs care, but we're very new to this. Our PCP told us that we need to engage the services of a home care provider, but we don't even know what questions to ask. We don't know what to expect from them. I don't even know how to introduce this to my husband. That is in the lady's word. I don't know how to introduce this to my husband. Those worries. So I want a situation whereby when families call upon a home care service provider, they will be comfortable by the kind of responses they get, from from maybe from your case manager, for example. So back to my questions, what should they expect from home care providers, and what kind of questions should they ask, if they want to get, engaged in their services?
Well, there's multiple parts. The first thing that I would start with is getting an assessment. So that most facilities and agencies, we have 3 pages of questions. It seems a lot, but it means a lot because a lot of times people could have had falls already that they really didn't think about because it was 3 weeks ago. But we say, have you had any falls? What type of medications are you on? How long have you been needing service and needing help? Have you taken the rugs out from your house so that they don't trip on them? There's a lot of small things that add up over a period of time because it's not just a one time, hey, now I need him. Well, most of the time people have needed care well before that to get to that point. Um, do they have, weekly doctor's appointments or monthly doctor's appointments, or do they have a therapist come in? So those are the type of things really that are the questions that would be very good for family members to know. And they're questions that we need to know as well, because when we send in caregivers, we expect them to be part of the family in many ways. I mean, yes, we're independent contractors, but the reality is we want it to be family style love and compassion and care for the people that we have it. And those are some of the things that we go through before bringing the caregiver to the home. We go over the assessment so that they are aware as well what's needed and what's expected. And our software also, at the end of the shift, goes through a lot of areas. Did you give them a meal? Did you give them something to drink? Did you get them hydrated? Did you do laundry? Did you put the plates away back in the cupboard, after lunch? Those are the type of things that for ongoing care that families and facilities and agencies really need to do.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Dan. And I also think that it is also important for, excuse me, for families to understand what home care agencies provide. I remember some times ago, one of the caregivers walked into a home, and the families thought that the caregiver is supposed to do full housekeeping. When I mean full housekeeping, you have to do yeah, laundry is part of it, but you have to do full house cleaning, like wiping down the glass, doing many things that would make them to pay less attention to the person that needs the care. But I remember then that we were able to tell the family that, well, we have a lot of things to do. We do a lot of ADLs, like helping them dressing, grooming. We do errands, transportation, and stuff like that. But we would not be able to do full house cleaning every day, like mopping. I
Right.
mean, mopping the whole of the house. You know, it's always good to help family understand, what to expect. So if I mean, not doing home full house cleaning doesn't diminish the quality of care that home care agencies render. We just have to be able to explain to them professionally what our focuses are. It's based majorly it's client centered. And I like the fact that you mentioned looking at the care plan. It's very
Hmm.
essential that we always stick to the care plan, because care plan is not just an honorary document. I'll call it a legal document that everyone has to follow to make sure that the client receives the best care. And
Hmm.
of course, I'll also say that home care agencies are part of the plan to reduce hospital readmission. So if home care agencies and their caregivers follow the care plan properly and do what they have to do, it's gonna reduce the level of hospital readmission. It's gonna also help the family members of the person we're caring of, to be confident in the kind of care you rendered. I sometimes some years ago I met a family that were really really concerned about the kind of care that their dad gets because the kids were not living in the United States. They were living in Europe. So they wanted to be sure that I was consulted and I told them. So they were in between getting a private care and a home care agency. And I kind of told them the major difference between both. You will be able to, from a home care agency, they will be able to get licensed caregivers. They are insured. So they have basically the insurance bond. Um, they are confident that even if a particular caregiver will not show up on a particular day, the home care agency will have to take care of that. However, if they go to get a private caregiver from somewhere else, they are gonna have to be in charge of everything. So it's pretty much, so they're pretty much enslaved, to that care. If I have, I mean, if that's a good word to use, but if they go to a home care agency, the home care agency takes over everything. So the home care agency is responsible to making sure. So that is why I feel that it is important not to take away quality from
Hmm.
the services that home care agencies provide. And of course, I will say that one thing for me that one quality that I also like to take from a home care agency is the level of their attention to safety and compliance. That is medication reminders, fall prevention, personal hygiene, and of course accountability. Home care agencies should be able to, you know, should be available to get feedback. They should want to get feedback from families so that they can improve on their services. Their communication has to be up. I would say 10, 9 over 10. I would say 10 over 10 if possible to give the families that they support the level of comfort that is required. But then I would like to ask that um Mr. Dan, I still want you to help families to know what exactly are the questions? Because most of the times home care providers we come in with a catalog of services they render. Um, but we want to help families to be able to ask, some questions from if you could help us with one or two questions that families intelligent questions, maybe sometimes maybe not intelligent, some maybe even I would say maybe sometimes I would say maybe not intelligent questions, but we want families to be comfortable to ask as many questions as possible from home care agencies so that at the beginning they would know what they are in for, or so that they will not be disappointed along the way. I want to try as much as possible to eliminate assumptions, if you know what I mean. So, could you please walk us through some kind of questions that families could ask from, home care agency before they go into into their services?
Sure. I mean, one of the biggest ones is, are you licensed? And that should give them uh, some bit of confidence. The other is, how long have you been in business? And how many caregivers do you have? Then it depends on what their family member is. If they've had a fall, then the question would be, do you have people that have had worked with people that have fallen before?
Mm.
If it's dementia, it might be a different type of person that would work in. So then you say, hey, my dad has dementia. How to are your caregivers trained in that area, and do they have experience in that area? And I think those are the things that the more succinct you can get, the better care you'll get. I mean,
Mm.
because I'll be honest, we want to give you the best caregiver possible. I mean, that's win-win for both of us. But if we don't know that there is something like dementia, and then it takes a different step. Sometimes people just want somebody to sit next to. Other people they want to draw in and with crayons and enjoy and make it like a painting.
Mm.
Others want to sit in the backyard and look at the bird feeder.
Right.
So it really depends on what the needs are, but they should ask. I mean, they should ask, do you have your caregivers taken people outside? Yes. Gosh, we really need a little help on Thursdays because nobody's going to be there. What kind of food will you be able to prepare?
Mm.
Those are the type of things that not just an agency, but also our caregivers and families need to know.
All right. Yeah, that reminds me. Some times ago, a family needed a caregiver, and they said, um, so the question they asked me was, "Do you think your caregiver will be able to will be able to lift our dad? Our dad is 180 pounds."
Right.
You know, I don't want to do even went as far as saying I don't want a skinny caregiver. I want a caregiver with muscles, so
Right.
yeah. So yeah, I agree with you. And so we need so there's a need to be so those questions are important because we want to be able to match caregivers, with clients. So I agree with that. But in the midst of all that, I know that there should be some, we want to be transparent. We want to be transparent. So I want
Hmm.
to ask, what red flags should families watch out for? Maybe before they engage in the service, or as you know, as it goes on, I want to know what kind of red flag, because I've seen quite a bit, especially one of them. What comes to my mind now is when a caregiver, is frequently is tardy, is always getting late, is unresponsive. That is a red flag for me. I don't want any caregiver. We all know that caregivers, especially for those that are hired from an agency, I would say they are the representative of that agency. So if a caregiver is tardy, if a caregiver wants to keep to themselves, they don't want to support, they don't want to, offer companionship, it's a red flag for me from any agency. So what kind of red flags should families, watch out for? If there's any other one you can talk about.
Well, I think the biggest thing for us is just the personality and getting along with the client. Sometimes I've seen it where they'll sit next to each other while they watch TV. And it can be as simple as that, just somebody's right there with them. It's their voice, are they speaking loud or are they so quiet that you can't hear them? And then, and so sometimes that's even scarier for them. Um, just being present and talking to them, many times they can't move their neck. So you want to be in front of them and explain whatever's needed and ask them what they'd like. And that's really it. It's just A to Z is the focus should be on the client, which is the family member that needs help.
Mm, true. And I also think that another red flag for me would be that if an agency doesn't have a proper care plan, or if they do not carry the family members along on some changes, um, that would be a red flag for me. It would be that they're not paying close attention
Mhm.
to that person that needs help. Um, and let's say, for example, you go to a person's house and the whole place is upside down. The person's personal hygiene is not really, it's not good. It's a major red flag for me. If they're not communicating with me frequently, as little as um, I know. I mean, Mr. Dan, I remember, a particular client that you wanted to, wanted to bring into your service, complain about
Mhm.
some other agencies that um were not. So, so this client actually needed even the smallest notification, as small as you changing a caregiver. So if they expect caregiver A on Tuesday, and you by any chance are not able to send in caregiver A, maybe you want to send in caregiver C. They want to know that caregiver C is coming in.
Mhm.
They don't want you to assume that, well, they don't want to assume that this caregiver knows what he or she is doing. They want to be carried along every time. That could be a red flag for some families. So we want to make sure that we carry every family, especially those that, you know, makes major decisions in the family. We want to make sure that we carry them along because that is very important. And truly, and again, I also believe that, matching the caregiver to the need of the client is very important. So if for example, a client has Parkinson's or has LS, for instance. We don't want to send in a caregiver that does not really understand what dementia
Mhm.
care is all about because it's going to be frustrating to the caregiver as well as the as well as the client and the family. So we want to make sure. So for me, so that's a red flag. If I see because it's really going to be frustrating to a caregiver that is not well equipped, or has a proper training. It's really going to be difficult. I remember like I told you, those years when I had to take care of my aunt mom. I didn't know so much about specific things, you know. So it was really frustrating for me. So that would be a red flag if an agency sends me, such a person. So um um but then what comes to mind now is that quality care for me, I mean, I stand to be corrected, Mr. Dan. Quality care for me does not really it's not one-sided. Yeah, what I mean is that it doesn't involve just the home care agency. I think it also involves the family because I believe the families or those that want your service are, I mean, we are all partners in care. I'm also included. So we're all partners in care. So what are the roles of families in maintaining this quality? Yeah, I understand that home care agency have to bring in their A game. But for families, that want the services of home care agencies, what should be their roles in maintaining this quality, Mr. Dan?
Well, I agree. And I think a big part of it is just strictly communication. I
Mm,
mean, they may talk to their family member when when the agency is not there and say, well, how do you like John? How do you like Susan? How do you like Elizabeth? It really, if there's any hesitation, then we can find out what it is and have that caregiver the opportunity to make the changes in their own presentation of care and what they do. And really, it should be done on an ongoing basis. We don't just put somebody in and say, okay, goodbye, close the door.
mm,
We want to make sure that they can have an idea of what's in the house, where do I get a spoon if they want a cup of coffee and some cream in it, that type of thing. Where's their bedroom? Where are they going into a regular shower? Or do they have to get in a tub? Those are the type of things where we need feedback, we need to hear about it, and it's a two-way street. We want what's best for the client, and sometimes maybe that means our caregiver's not the right one. We'd love the opportunity to find them a different personality, a different care scalability. But if not, then we want them to find that somewhere, and that's within our industry. Um, as much as we'd like to, we're human beings as well, and our caregivers oftentimes do their very best, and sometimes that's not enough.
mm,
It needs to be changed. But really, I think just having an eye on it, seeing how it goes, and part of it also is impressions in one day are not always the type of person that you get 7 days later. You'd be amazed at how many of our caregivers uh, really cry when the person they're caring for gets to
mm,
that point where they pass away. I mean,
mm,
they miss them. The love inside that they've been sharing and helping and guiding. It's very hard. It's not an easy thing to do. So I really consider the blessing that it is to have a good caregiver, but those are not necessarily given, those are made. And between the family and the agency, we try to build them the best care we can.
mm. Thanks for that. So, before we continue, we're rounding up. Please, if you have any question, feel free to drop them in the chat and or in the quick Q&A session. I will be able to catch it from there. So, I agree with you, Mr. Dan. Um, it's important for families to monitor, the care quality and as much as possible to carry home care agencies along. I know that sometimes families get so, comfortable with caregivers that, they, you know, give updates to those caregivers rather than talking to the case manager or the agencies. I feel that families should, as much as possible, or whoever is responsible for the client, to reach out to the case manager or the agencies directly, so that we can do proper documentation. You know, um, I know that many families do that. We just want to kind of encourage, to do more, as far as that is concerned. And of course, if there's any changes in the clients, especially for families that are not into that are not engaged in 24/7 care, you know, if a caregiver works from, let's say, 8 hours a day, the other 16 hours, things might have changed. So it is okay for the family, to notify the agencies so they know exactly what to prepare. It's also okay, if family members could celebrate and support caregivers. I'm not talking about, you know, giving them money or something like that, but we can always encourage them by what we say, thank you so much for taking care of my dad. That goes a
Mhm.
long way. That is, I mean, that will really help. And if you want more resources and support as far as this topic is concerned, um, you can connect with me with our organization, Aricares Alliance. I'm going to drop the website in the chat. It's www.aricaresalliance.com. And of course, if you want to talk to Mr. Dan about our other services, definitely reach out to them. We're also going to drop that in the chat. Um, So on our website you can get free caregiver guides and training materials, um, home care information, especially in California. And of course, Aricares Alliance offers support groups. We're going to be having more webinars in the next 2 weeks. There'll be more, there'll be another webinar coming in. There's going to be another expert,
Mhm.
and I'll be talking to us more about topic on the topic that has to do with family care, home care. We will also provide so if you go to the website after this webinar, we provide downloadable handout checklist. So and if you feel free, you can also feel free to sign up to our newsletter where both on Aricares and Elite Home Care. Um so quickly, Mr. Dan, I have a question.
Mhm.
Somebody was asking that what should I do if I'm not happy with my current caregiver? Do you want to quickly address that?
Sure, and I think it's the same in a lot of different areas of life. I mean, if you're not happy, uh, go to the agency or wherever it came from. If it's a family member, then just say, "Hey, let's have a cup of coffee and talk." Um, but you need to be on the same page. The family does. So, as caregivers, we want to hear the feedback. If somebody's coming in late each day, we want to know because that's not right for us. That doesn't work well with our agency. Sometimes it's they don't like the food. Well, people come from different areas that we work with, and they have different things. My wife is Filipino, and she doesn't feel good. She wants their chicken soup. So that's just what it is. And I think communication with the family is the most important.
All right, thanks, Mr. Dan. True. So families should feel free to ask, for another. I mean, but the good thing is that because it's you are dealing with a home care agency, you can always talk to the case manager, you know, lay your complaints, and if you still do not want a caregiver, definitely home care home care agencies will be able to support, help change. And that was what I said at the beginning of this webinar, that is one of the advantage of working with a home care agency. Because if you get a private hire, I'm not saying they don't do a good job, but home care agencies can you know, are very flexible. They will be able to help change your caregiver and maybe retrain the caregiver if needs be. Yeah, so I agree with you, Mr. Dan. So somebody also
Mhm.
asked, they said, that is from someone from Sacramento. He said you mentioned that home um, care aides could help with transportation. So do they provide the vehicle or do they need a special training to operate the client's vehicle?
Well, they don't need special training for it. What the difference really is the insurance. So if you're in the caregiver's automobile, that doesn't necessarily care for everyone that's in the car. So that's the issue. If they drive the family car, and all they do is drive the car, then the insurance covers everyone in the car, the family and the driver. So traditionally, if we're going to do it, we have um, our clients they use their car, and our caregivers, they're the ones that do the driving, and they're happy to do it, especially to get to a haircut or nails or a doctor's appointment, whatever it happens to be.
Oh yeah. So it's safe to use to drive the client's vehicle, right?
Correct.
Well, you're right. Well, well, this is on the lighter note. I remember some years ago, I had the opportunity to drive in one of the clients, one very nice vehicle, the Porsche. Very nice car. So for caregivers, if you're looking to, but definitely I was the client was very comfortable,
Hmm.
with me driving in their vehicle, and I think it also has to do with it's important to have caregivers with great attitude because attitude is everything.
Hmm.
Um, I like to first impression comes with appearance. How did the caregiver appear in the first day? The dressing, how the level of composure of the
Hmm.
of the caregivers. How do you talk? How you
Right.
are you respectful and stuff like that? I think for me, the families were like from the very first day they saw me, they were very comfortable with me, and they were like, TJ, you can ride, and you can drive my car at any time. You drive the Porsche or you drive the powerful two-seater AMG, Mercedes Benz. So, um. Yeah, I agree. It is important to use the client's vehicle, but it doesn't really rule out the possibility of using the caregiver's vehicle because sometimes these clients may not have personal vehicles.
Well,
So
if that's the case, what we offer them is we say, hey, just call our caregiver or set it up in advance, and they can bring you groceries on the way home. They can do a lot of those errands for you without the family member there. They just bring it to them.
right. Yeah. So I have there's another question here. And it says, does Medicare or Medicaid pay for home care agencies? So home care agencies, not home health. So
Right.
does Medicare and Medicaid pay for home care agencies?
They do not. Medicare and Medicaid only take care of those that are subscribers and at the physician's location. I mean, they may send someone out, but it's a nurse who's going to be in and out within 45 minutes to an hour at best. So we're um, we're non-medical, so it's private pay, it's long-term care, and those are really the way that our agencies work with families.
So I'm curious. So this is my question. So if the client is a veteran or is a retired military person, so is there a way you help them?
Again, it's going to be the same thing. It's long-term care or private insurance.
Oh,
There are some new programmings that are starting to blossom, but they're very small. There's sort of very few hours. One that we've heard of that we've been approved for is it's roughly, I don't know, $2,500 a year, which
mm,
only gives you a couple $100 a month. And so it's not really enough to have full care, but it could be that little respite you want where, you can go out and spend a little time for yourself. And we want family members to have that ability as well.
right. So one last question. How can I get caregiver training as a family member? So I suppose this person is in charge of, if she is taking care of of her family member. So they don't want your service. So they
Right.
want to do this by themselves. So how does how do we
Well,
help?
and until now, it's just been self-discovery.
Right,
Now, Aricare is the facility is going to be offering some training that you can get, which is highly valuable to take care of your parents or family members or neighbors, whoever it is that you're caring for.
right,
And they're going to allow you to do that. And it's a nonprofit, but it doesn't mean it doesn't cost to do all the things that they're going to offer. So if you can donate, that I'm sure that'd be great. I'm not a part of that organization, but I appreciate exactly where they're going, and I think it is an area that's been missed in a lot of caregiving. I mean, it goes from health, where you're sending out doctors and nurses, to somewhere where we're fully trained, and then there's family members going, yeah, but we want to help. So that's the best way that they can improve their ability to care for their loved ones.
right. Yes, thanks, Mr. Dan. So for talking about what the plan. So yeah, we're currently putting some plans together, and I believe that we would have started this month, but because of the holiday period and everything. So, but by January we are gonna be offering free training, hands-on training, in San Diego for every caregiver. If you're a family caregiver or a professional caregiver, we'll send you very soon. We'll be sending out the schedule for those trainings. I will be covering a lot of topics. So if you have friends and families that want to have those, please let them come in. It's free. And and we'll give you the best as much as we can. And I think, Mr. Dan, I think that is all about the question. So, just before you give the closing remark, I want to say that, quality home care is about compassion. It's about compassion, competence, and communication. And families have the power to expect and to ensure all three. They have the right, actually. Let me put it that way, to ensure that they get all three. So we encourage you, to ask for help as much as we can. I always say that caring, or should I say, yeah, home care is already part of the it's part of the culture. It is here to stay. It's going nowhere. And everyone has the right to be educated, to know what to know, to know what to expect. How to go about things. And that is why we are here. That is why Aricares Alliance is here. Please feel free to talk to us. Feel free to ask all the questions. Send us emails. If there's anything you want us to advocate for, please let us know. Like, it is free. It's a non-profit organization, and we're gonna help you as much as we can. Mr. Dan, would you like to give us a closing remark before we go?
Yeah, one, we just thank you for your time that you'd come and spend with us. And as TJ mentioned, I mean, our whole goal is to have the best caregivers, and that oftentimes is family members. And there is no option or free thing out there to get it. And TJ's bringing that to the market, which is going to be quite a blessing for many families. So thanks for being a part of it.
All right, thank you, and happy holidays, everyone.
All right.
Thanks, Mr. Dan. Have a
Take
good one.
care. Thank you.